prayers of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, do not allow your mind to be too active and to live in a turmoil. Do not jump to conclusions from a superficial view of things. Always take your time, concentrate, and decide only in quietness. With always our love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 1, The Book of Beginnings, Canto 4, The Secret Knowledge, page 65. This is our deepest need to join once more what now is parted, opposite, and twain, remote in sovereign spheres that never meet, or fronting like far poles of night and day. We must fill the immense lacuna we have made, rewed the closed finite's lonely consonant with the open ovals of infinity. A hyphen must connect matter and mind, the narrow isthmus of the ascending soul. We must renew the secret bond in things. Our hearts recall the lost divine idea, reconstitute the perfect word, unite the Alpha and the Omega in one sound. Then shall the Spirit and nature be at one. Two are the ends of the mysterious plan in the wide signless ether of the self. In the unchanging silence, white and nude, aloof, resplendent like gold dazzling suns, veiled by the ray no mortal eye can bear, the Spirit's free and absolute potencies burn in the solitude of the thoughts of God. A rapture and a radiance and a hush, delivered from the approach of wounded hearts, denied to the idea that looks at grief, removed from the force that cries out in its pain. In his inalienable bliss they live, immaculate in self-knowledge and self-power, calm repose on the eternal will.
Que seul ce qui est parfaitement vrai, sincère, droit et pur subsiste dans cette année. Droit et pur subsiste dans cette année qui commence.
सर्वदेवमयी देवी सर्वलोकभयापहा ब्रह्मेश विष्णुनमिता प्रणमामि सदा मीरा। ॐ
our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 12, page 94. Question, Sweet Mother, how can we find the Divine within ourselves? For this, our Divine Mother says, first of all, you must begin to seek Him, and then that must be the most important thing in life. The will must be constant, the aspiration constant, the preoccupation constant, and it must be the only thing you truly want. Then you will find Him. But, of course, if in one's life one thinks of Him for 5 minutes and is busy with other things for 3/4 of an hour, there is not much chance of success. Anyway, it will take many lifetimes. It must not be a pastime. It must be the exclusive preoccupation of one's being, the very reason of one's existence. Our Divine Mother says this is the first thing necessary, aspiration for the divine. The next thing you have to do is to tend it, to keep it always alert, awake, and living. And for that, what is required is concentration. Concentration upon the divine with a view to an integral and absolute consecration to its will and purpose. Concentrate in the heart, enter into it, go within and deep and far as you can. Gather all the strings of your consciousness that are spread abroad, roll them up and take a plunge and sink down. A fire is burning there. A fire is burning there in the deep quietude of the heart. It is the divinity in you, your true being. Hear its voice, follow its dictates. Question, Sweet Mother, when you say concentrate in the heart, does it mean concentrate with the mind? For this, our Divine Mother says the consciousness, not the mind, the consciousness. I don't say think in the heart, I say concentrate. Concentrate the energy, concentrate the consciousness, concentrate the aspiration, concentrate the will, concentrate. One can have an extremely intense concentration without a single thought. And in fact, it is usually much more intense when one doesn't think. Silence. Our Divine Mother says it's one of the most indispensable things to do if one wants to succeed in having self-control and even a limited self-knowledge, to be able to localize one's consciousness and move it about in the different parts of one's being in such a way as to distinguish between one's consciousness and one's thoughts, feelings, impulses, become aware of what the consciousness is in itself. And in this way, says our Divine Mother, one can learn how to shift it. One can put one's consciousness in the body, put it in the vital, put it in the psychic. That's the best place to put it in. One can put one's consciousness in the mind, can raise it above the mind, and with one's consciousness, one can go into all the regions of the universe. But first of all, says our Divine Mother, one must know what one's consciousness is. That is, become conscious of one's consciousness, localize it, and for this there are many exercises. But one of them is very well known. It is to observe oneself and to watch oneself living, and then see whether it is really the body which is the consciousness of the being, what one calls myself. And then, when one has realized that it is not at all the body, that the body expresses something else, then one reaches in his impulses, emotions to see whether it's that. And again, one finds out that it is not that. And then one seeks in his thoughts whether the thought is truly himself, what he calls myself. And at the end of a very short time, one becomes aware. No, I am thinking, therefore, myself is different from my thoughts. And so, by progressive eliminations, one succeeds in entering into contact with something, something which gives you the impression of being, yes, that's myself. And this something I can move around. I can move it from my body to my vital to my mind. I can, even if I'm very, very, very practiced in moving it, I can move it into other people. And it's in this way that I can identify myself with things and people. Our Divine Mother says, I can, with the help of my aspiration, make it come out of my human form, rise above towards regions which are no longer this little body at all, and what it contains. And so one begins to understand what one's consciousness is. And it's after that that one can say, good, I shall unite my consciousness with my psychic being and shall leave it there so that it may be in harmony with the divine and be able to surrender entirely to the divine. Or else, if by this exercise of rising above my faculties of thinking and my intellect, I can enter a region of pure light, pure knowledge, then one can put his consciousness there and live like that in a luminous splendor which is above the physical form. Our Divine Mother says, but for this, consciousness must be mobile, and one must know how to distinguish from other parts of the being, which in fact are its instruments, its modes of expression. The consciousness must make use of these things, not mistake these things for the consciousness. You put the consciousness in these things, so you become conscious of your body, conscious of your vital, conscious of your mind, conscious of all your activities through your will for identification. But for this, first, your consciousness must not be completely entangled, mingled, joined, so as to say, with all these things, it must not take them for itself. It must not be deceived. When one thinks of himself, obviously out of millions of men, perhaps there are not even 10 who do otherwise. He thinks, myself, that's my body, that's what I call myself. What's like this? And so I'm like that. Then my neighbor, he is also the body. When I speak of another person, I speak of his body. And so, as long as one is in this state, he is the plaything of all possible movements and has no self-control. The body, says our Divine Mother, is the last instrument, and yet it is this which one calls myself most of the time, unless one has begun to reflect, says our Divine Mother.